All right. Welcome to Encounter Roleplay, where we are going to be playing another fun game. This one's a bit of a Kickstarter. In fact, they have reached their funding goals, and they are going to be making it. So they've just got a couple days left. If you hit the link in chat, you can go over and check them out. Don't do it now because we're just about to start an awesome show, right? But check them out if you like what we do today. So I'm going to be following a new form. I know that everybody here, you guys will recognize your cast from your normal weekly presentation. I'm going to be incorporating this into your normal world as best as we can, and it'll be up to Mike in the following weeks to find out if we want this to be our canon or not. Maybe this will lead to a season 2 scenario backlog or backstory or something. We will find out, but it all depends on how good of a story we tell today. So with that, I just want to do a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. This week we are sponsored by our normal sponsors over at Fantasy Grounds, which we are very appreciative of, and you can see is right down here in the screen. We love them very much, and this Star Wars overlay, that is really, that's kind of sexy, I gotta say. That's a really nice backdrop there for the desktop.
Yes, this is the Fantasy Flight Games Edge of the Empire expansion pack by Trenlo on the Fantasy Ground forums. So if you peruse the Fantasy Ground forums and you see Trenlo, give them big ups because this is awesome.
Yes, I'm a huge fan. I love it, and thank you very much, Trenlo, for developing that amazing add-on to Fantasy Grounds. Okay, so. Second, we have whalengames.co.uk, who have some amazing figurines. Go over there, check out their website, mention Encounter Roleplay, and we do have a 20% discount for you with them. And last but not least, we have Tabletop Loot, our weekly sponsor. And if you retweet us and we get 20 retweets, we will see a dice giveaway in the chat. So please do jump out there, get some retweets out there, and raise awareness so that we can continue to play these amazing games. And besides, you get some free dice out of it, right? Potentially. Okay, so and that also means more viewership and more people interact with in the chat. So get that out there, and thank you all very much for watching on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Morning it is for me. Morning, just barely. Let's go around, and if anybody is unfamiliar, introduce our cast, because we have We have your regulars, and I'm going to start because I'm brand new, and this is my first time on this stream.
Yeah, who the hell are you?
My name is Encounter Will. I'm Dungeon Master Corey.
Hold on.
Wrong.
Will is way more awesome. He would have been through the whole sponsors. You guys would be halfway through the game by now. And your minds would be just like blown all over the backdrop. It would be amazing. Okay, so I'm Dungeon Master Corey. I run things here on Encounter Roleplay games, as many as I can possibly fit into my hectic schedule. I make content over on Dungeon Master Guild, and I am very active over on Twitter. So you can find me at DM Corey there, or on Instagram as well at DM Corey. I am a runner of many games and a longtime Dungeon Master, and I just try and make it as fun as possible. So we'll go ahead and go around clockwise here.
It's always me first, and I always get the lovely first introduction. Hi, I'm Dom, and I'm just grateful to not be terrified this week by weird space alien zombies. I do the voice over things semi-professionally, and sales as well. But for today, I am confused. Yeah, that's good enough. Onto the cute couple onto the far right.
You start. You're on the right.
I'm Gary Ripper. I'm of Ripper Blades. I make acrylic lightsaber blades of all kind.
That's so cool.
I'm good friends with this guy right here next to me, and that's anything like that. Yeah.
All right. I'm Drake Finney. I'm usually the engineer behind the background, and I'll be tweaking and doing some stuff as we learn about this game. Maybe we might split up. You never know. I might bump over to the next monitor. I might even go to way to the far
Fans are going
corner.
to split up.
It's over. Dom's going to have to be split up and come see us every other weekend.
No, I don't want a broken home.
But no, I'm looking forward to this. Bleak Spirit, I think, is going to have some nice twists and turns that we're going to enjoy, and maybe it will become canon.
Yeah.
And I am Lazy Bones. I am usually up in the top left-hand corner, but today, as part of a special feature, I'm temporarily stepping down. Dom, thank you very much. But no, I'm excited to do this a very collaborative storytelling experience here with Bleak Spirit. I'm very excited, and hopefully it might generate some very interesting content for inspiration for future campaigns. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. Thank you everyone for joining us. And down there.
Hello, I'm Eris or Animus Panthera on Twitter and most other places. I'm actually a zoologist, but I also like playing tabletop games. And yeah, I'm excited to play this game. I've never heard it before.
And you're so far down. It's so hard to
Yes,
see
I'm very
down
far at the
there.
bottom.
No. Wait a minute.
Okay. All right. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be crazy good. I have never played a game like this before. So I'm going to read a section before we go into it, and then we will expand upon it. And I'm going to be doing extensive note-taking while we're doing this. Normally, I run a game. I can't say I'm doing that. I'm a guest as much as this. I'm just going to be introducing you all to this game that is just going to be launching very soon. This is a partially developed, in development game that there will be moments where maybe the rules don't 100% work or something like that, and we're going to power through it and maybe reset or total party wipe or whatever it ends up turning out to be. We're going to figure it out. But it is going to be a whole lot of fun to explore what these are. So this is a very free-form game. This is almost like an improv exercise in its utility. So think about this as if you were, and this is the example that I've sort of come to, is if you were doing John Wick, or if you were doing maybe, you could probably do 300 with this type of action script. It's really good for formulating a narrative that nobody here knows where this is going. There's no pre-scripted anything other than to say that we are going to be on a Jedi training temple after the fall of the Jedi Empire.
In a galaxy a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Far, far away.
You know, you said that and it didn't start scrolling on my screen, and you know what? Lazy Bones,
It's my fault. It's my fault.
this is a tech problem.
Exactly.
We need to see a scrolling going on there now. Okay, so that's basically all we know, other than there is a somewhat capable Force user that is going to be entering this facility, exploring, and we are going to be narrating how they explore and the choices they make and the entities that they find and the trials that they face and all of this. And we're going to be world building as we do this. So we're going to start off with the teaching guide, because they have gone and put this into the game to have a turn-by-turn walkthrough of how you're supposed to do it, rather than like, it's sort of almost like a board game strategy for teaching you how to play something as opposed to an RPG. And I gotta say, it lends itself really well to this mechanic. So I'm very excited to try this out with you guys today. And thank you very much for having me. And Lazy Bones, as you put it, stepping aside for the week, I would not say stepping down, because you are definitely still going to be in the hot seat for a minute or two. All right, so
Be afraid.
I'm just going to read this verbatim, and then forgive me while I'm looking down at this thing. I want to read it exactly as they've got it, but I don't want to paraphrase too much. So, I'm going to be your facilitator for the evening, afternoon, it's time zones. I'm going to be your facilitator. We're going to use this teaching guide to help us learn the game. We read out section by section as we play so that we're not trying to learn all the rules in one go. If you've got questions, go ahead and ask. Don't worry, in the early scenes, if you aren't sure how things are going to work out later, we'll get to that. Okay. So this would normally be a point where I would pass this script to the person to my left, and a player would read this section here. This is a storytelling game to describe a lone wanderer amid a foreboding, melancholy landscape, the great destiny they bear, and how that unfolds when they confront their adversary. We're going to take turns revealing lore about the world or the adversary, and after each scene, we'll privately leap to conclusions about what the real truth might be. When it's your turn to reveal lore, your conclusions will steer your contributions to the story. And in the end, one of us will weave everything together into a climactic finale. Not it.
I'm so excited. It sounds so fucking mental.
Oh, this is gonna be legit improv. We are going to be interpreting and real time inventing a storyline and watching as the mechanics of this help us to weave it together unwittingly, so we are all blown away at the end of it. I can't wait.
Yes, please.
So each scene, one of us will play the wanderer, one of us will play the world, and the rest of us will be the chorus. Okay? So, the roles of the world and the wanderer move to a new player after each scene, so everyone will get a turn. The wanderer is the main character, a mighty adventurer who has come to this place following a particular destiny. When we play the wanderer, we do not describe their inner thoughts and feelings, we only describe their actions. Okay, so when you're wanderer, keep that in mind. You want to keep this to surface only. So weird and separate from being a role player where we're trying to constantly get into the head and make things. Those interpretations, they go onto our pages. And then we unveil them as lore later on rather than shouting them out in the moment, right? So, the world frames the scenes, reveals lore, describes the people, places, and events the wanderer encounters, and controls how they respond to the wanderer's actions. So it's going to be very much like a two-part vignette between the world and the wanderer, and the chorus is going to interject with like embellishments. All right, so the chorus will help the world by adding atmosphere and details and by playing secondary characters if the world needs them to do so. So you should absolutely, as the chorus, not try to change the plot, but try to embolden the descriptions. That someone describes a mossy brick wall, then you describe how the water runs down it or something along those lines, and you just sort of, we flesh it out together. Okay. Before we start, we should all have a clear idea of the kind of story we want to tell. Okay. The game is set in a world of, in this particular case, it says in here, swords and sorcery. For us, it's going to be sabers and force, right? Amid the ruins of former greatness, there may be a great civilization everywhere in the world, but here, where the story takes place, there is only faded grandeur and melancholy reminders of what went before. Populated by dangerous creatures and xenophobic members of a former inhabitants, the few talkative souls who come to this locale are eccentric creatures focused on their own thoughts above all else, and they may prove useful allies or bitter enemies. This is a world where morality is decidedly gray. The easy path is always the soft lie or the timely betrayal. Altruism is a quick route to self-destruction or exploitation by the more cynical. And there are heroes in the world yet. The Wanderer may even be one, but they are a tragic breed. So, this is a world where information never comes easily. Other people keep their cards close to their chests. revealing only what they want you to know. Scrawled graffiti offers clues to what happened here. Loose pages torn from the ancient tomes give cryptic descriptions of the adversary's origins and nature. And yet this is a world where beauty still lingers. Amid the ruins, the grime, and the corruption, there remain places of breathtaking wonder where people who gladly take their suffering of others onto their own shoulders, and these moments are all more precious for their rarity. And we'll probably see at least one. Let's see if we can come up with more than that, and maybe bring some levity to the moments of the bleakness that we are about to unfold. All right. And then it brings it back to the facilitator. So, is that kind of giving you an idea of the story we're kind of getting to with Bleak Spirit here? All right. Mm-hmm. So, role-playing games are, by their very nature, unpredictable. Always. You never know what somebody else is going to role-play. That's part of the fun. But it means without a little care, stories can go places that we don't want. So we've got a couple of rules to help with the help keep a course that we all like. Okay. So first of all is the ban list. All right. There are some. If you know up front that there are topics which you don't want to see, we can all take a few minutes here and write them down. I've got a list in my OneNote pulled up, and anything that we specifically do not want to see from anybody else brought up, let's go ahead and put it onto the ban list now. And then when we're creating lore later on, we'll make sure that it's not something that's going to fit into the ban list before we consider it lore. So, these can be things that you don't want to come up with because they will make you uncomfortable, things which you don't want to deal with right now, or just topics or themes that you're bored of and don't want to see. Like, we don't want to see any Sith, right? Like, we're all so tired. So tired.
I have a penchant for the evil, you know.
Okay, what about zombies? Are we tired of zombies?
Maybe. I think not bored, but terrified too much that I don't want to see any more of them.
We can put zombies on the ban list. We can do that. Let's make it happen.
Let's get rid of the zombies.
No zombies. Where did...
No terrifying Trandoshans with laser swords.
Trandoshans?
Well, you know.
Please stay away from me, Gary. I'm very scared. No.
It's kind of hot.
Is it actually hot to the touch?
Not after he quenches it in your chest.
Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a feeling he might. That's the scary part.
Well, we'll see how the main series goes.
No.
I'm going to throw out the staple ones. I don't want to hear any child victimization, any rape, incest, child violence, things like that. The standard things that we can all pretty much know because we're going into a stream that these are going to be things we're not even going to come anywhere near. I would say any form of racism is that includes fantasy races. I don't need it, right?
Like again,
I don't care how you feel about Twi'leks. They exist and they are equal.
I feel called out.
My wife's a Twi'lek, so.
Hey, look! Dio has done a great job of unlearning the racism that was instilled
it's tough,
in him by.
Garrulus is such a dick. Doing my best.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, he's doing a good job of unlearning it.
Also,
He just has to remember that it's not because he's a Twi'lek; it's just because he's Garrulus.
Yeah, it's because he's.
What else do we not want to see here? I know this is a hard subject, but for safety, it's something that we need to put down. Especially considering we've never.
I think we've covered all the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Want in a fantasy world, because this is meant to be fun to escape from shit, and let's not have all these horrible things clouding what is our nice time.
Yes.
Like zombies?
Like zombies, please. I'm scared.
If you want to shout it out, please put it into the VMix chat, and I will add it to the list.
Anyone in chat not want something done? I'll have a look through a second.
Yes.
All good. I think chat is mostly up for it. I think they are savages who will like us to go through any kind of horrors.
They don't have to pay my psych bills.
True. That's true.
All right. Okay, so these items are on the ban list. Everyone needs to know what's on here because as far as this game is concerned, these things will not happen. Okay? If it looks like the story's heading is heading in that direction of one of the elements, anyone can call it a halt. If we feel the need to go where we are or rewind far enough that one appears, okay? So we will back up if we need to remove something out. See, the second rule is this, all right? You are absolutely welcome to make an X sign at any time. You are free to call a halt to the stream if something is going outside of your comfort zones. And is everybody here familiar with safety tools, especially being that this is a streamed one? We usually put a strong emphasis on this outside of the stream, but everybody here in the viewership, you're getting a good view of what this looks like before stream so that we can all come to a strong conclusion of how the do it the other way. Get Dom.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Hang on. Wrong shoulder.
Yeah. It's really some.
I'll admit, slightly off in the fact that
Yeah.
I think you're
we're really Brady bunching it here today.
it's the story of a handsome Jedi.
Yes, Eric.
That can't stop giggling about that. This is amazing.
Eris, are you muted? I think you're muted, Eris. That's.
I was
There we
just saying
go.
there's still one empty box directly above me.
Taking care of that.
Way at the bottom.
Because Derelith didn't turn up. Sorry, Dio's coming through. Let me just back him off.
He's playing
Yeah.
real life Bleak Spirit. He's out in the boonies.
No, that's Dan. Dan is out in,
It's
in
Bean.
the
Bean
boonies.
is missing.
Yeah,
Oh.
our lovely
Oh, I
Bean.
like Bean. I like Bean.
Yeah, Bean's a real sweetie.
Bean doesn't threaten to cut my legs off.
All right. So, following that, just guys, if you feel uncomfortable at any time, please do feel free to make an X. It's a game, okay? We're here to have fun, and we're not here. You as a player are more important than any story that we are trying to tell. So please do, by all means, give us an indicator if you are in some sort of duress, and we will definitely take care of everything you need, and we will do whatever needs to be done after off the air so that we can get to a safe place again, okay? So even if that means just cutting it with no explanation, we'll issue an apology, and that's this. Everybody needs to be safe, okay? I love you guys, and I appreciate your contributions to the game, and I can't wait. I know it's some dark stuff to get through to get to the fun stuff, but that is the foundation of how we build a healthy group, right?
Also, it gives
All
the
right.
chat an idea of how the game will work, so you can actually go and buy it. We're sponsored by them.
Yes, please go support this game on Kickstarter.
It looks
It's
so
already
good.
funded, but support it more.
It's 200% funded.
I'm like, super excited, okay? So I've never played a game like this before, and having read through the rules, I am really amped to see where this goes. So I know there's a chunk of text me reading here at the beginning, but we're about to get to it. So we're going to start establishing the jumping off point for the story, which has been established in this scenario we're using. We should also agree to a general tone, duration, and the stakes of the game. Okay? So right now, we need to establish the tone of the game. The tone means, are we very Barovia? Are we Silent Earth? What is the tone? Is this a very trudgy tale where we're just going to be dragging ourselves like the never-ending story? And what is the tone of this?
Any
Should be
preferences,
something a little bit
anyone?
more exciting,
Anyone
or
feeling
what?
like a Sunshine Rainbow adventure? Or...
Yeah, I mean, I think the tone should be suitably bleak, as the title of the game suggests. But I don't think it needs to be like soul crushingly. We're here to have a good time. This isn't an Anton Chekhov play. This isn't any Seagull or Cherry Orchard.
Nice reference. Thank you. Thank you. I like that. Give me more
I
theater
would say like
reference.
maybe Goku Vegeta Dark. More happy, upbeat.
Okay. We can make this a comedy. I mean, it can be
Yeah, that's very true.
if our wanderer were a buffoon. He's attempting, or she's attempting, or whoever we decide they are, they're trying to get through something, but they're kind of very accident prone and sheer perseverance getting their way through this. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Okay. So
Yeah.
Okay.
A suitably bleak tone.
Yeah. Like a dark comedy, this whole thing is going to be. I imagine, at least.
What is the timeline? This is a one-shot, right? We're doing this as a one-shot?
Yeah.
So our adventure doesn't have to survive. There doesn't have to be a long, overarching plot. So whatever will be, right? Okay.
I'm going to get attached to this character we're all playing, and then you're going to kill them off.
And then you will find lore about them in season 2. See how that goes? Right?
If this means we get a season 2, I'm happy to have this happen.
Okay. So we're going to go with Bleak with a satirical top-down view, right? We're not going to be like emoting, feeling our characters, right? Because I mean, that's kind of how the Wanderer is built in here. So this is going to be very narrative. So we can make this as lighthearted as we want, laughing at this poor fool who's getting hacked to bits, right?
I think we'll get invested, but not take it too seriously. The false act.
Maybe we shouldn't.
I think it's going to be very freeform, and we are all going to add our own contributions to how this tone unfolds. And maybe we haven't really figured out what the tone of this is because we're brand new to the game, right? So let's not box ourselves into it. And we'll say that it is Bleak Spirit, so it will be lonely, but we will make levity where levity needs to be made. Okay. So, at the beginning here, we're going to grab a few details. And the setting for the Wanderer, who is going to explore it, and we'll agree on one thing at a time, and everyone should throw suggestions and discuss them until we're all happy. If we get stuck, there are inspiration tables in the rule book, and we can look for ideas. Please don't make me look those up. I'd rather we all just wing it. So, I have put together a OneNote template here that is making it a whole lot easier for me to organize all of this. And I would like to start with the world, the area. What is this area called? You could draw from any of the Star Wars canonical knowledge, anything made up. You can draw from whatever you like. Some ancient Jedi temple on some planet that has fallen into ruin.
Personally, I want to stay away from the desert. We kind of live in a desert.
I dig this. As you can see,
Someone in chat just put, you suck. Mr. Wise put in chat, you are on Alderaan, a moon-sized space station in the system.
No Alderaan is well mapped. We don't know.
Yeah.
You're on a rock floating through space.
You could just
Yeah.
be on like a
can't go to
forested
Jakku
moon.
or Tatooine.
A forest moon. I know of one canonical desert or jungle moon that has lots of ruins on it. Duxun, DXUN.
Dixon.
DXUN.
All right. Anybody have any objections to be on the planet of Xun?
I'm good with Dixon.
I'm not familiar with it.
What are the
It
native humanoids from that world?
there are no native humanoids. It is a jungle moon of the planet Onderon, which in and of itself is a very heavily forested planet. It basically has one gigantic city on it, and then the wilderness is super dangerous.
That is fantastic.
That's canonical.
I like it.
We got shuffled.
That made me dizzy.
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
so much larger.
that made me dizzy. Don't do that again. What's wrong with you,
now
man?
we can really get Brady Bunch in here.
You have to do the arm.
We all like Bob in unison.
Oh no, I'm backwards.
He did it.
Corey's never gonna come back again.
Okay, so what is our lore for this moon, Xun, of the Jedi Temple Complex? What do we know about the history of this place? Why did
Is
it
there anything
fall?
concrete, Lazy Bones?
No, nothing really. The only lore that I know about this planet is that it has an old base on it that was used during the Mandalorian Wars during the Age of the Old Republic, but it's heavily alluded to that there's some crazy Force stuff going on there, and that there could be, a Jedi temple hidden there. No one really goes here anymore.
You ever,
I think that's
on YouTube, you ever see that indie film that is like the Darth Maul solo indie film that's like 15 minutes long?
no, I haven't seen that one.
Because that is the absolute tits. And I'm kind of imagining like this. It basically is just Darth Maul on a planet by himself, like training in a Jedi temple or something, like going on his own Sith missions.
Yes.
Like something on that kind of lines, where they have like an outpost for Jedi or Sith to kind of hone their skills or some kind of thing.
Kind of like a little energy boost for the Force.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
but
like an
we're-
official thing. It's just like if you know about it, some people go there.
If you're in the know. For the
Yeah.
cool kid Jedis.
Everyone on the council's been there. Just
Yeah,
saying.
but I definitely think that this place is abandoned. I think that's important.
Ooh, that is extremely important.
Yeah, it's a place where like people go if you need like the harsh alone conditions to focus your mind.
Well, it's like, there's those like
Well, you think
theoretical
about it.
pilgrimages to places that don't really exist, and people, it's like, oh, if you know where it is, you can go on a pilgrimage there. But other people are pretty sure it's fake.
Like Luke's location.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That is another example of what
The animals there that are so dangerous helps you focus. They have something to do with that. Like, if you're at peace, the animals won't get you.
Yeah, very dangerous fauna.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, fauna. I love that. I love
It's not flora. The flora is nice.
Is the flora nice?
No.
Man-eating
No,
plants.
It's oppressive.
Giant rocks that fly out of the sky and carry people away, feed them to their young.
Land bugs. Giant floating chunks of land. Love it.
Flying
Leg-
rocks.
Yes,
Just
it's canon. I've got.
tail.
We've got floating islands. Floating
You
It's
said
the
it.
land
Force.
bug.
Man.
Now you're
All
stuck
thi-
with it.
First off, all
Yeah,
things
like
are
the
possible
debris.
through the Force.
All right, floating islands going into lore.
Some flesh-eating plants, some giant slime molds. Yes, please.
Gelatinous cube.
Single-celled organisms that are big enough to eat you.
Roll of 300 suggested General Grievous.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is starting to really fill out. What is the dominant predator on this moon?
Displacer beasts.
A Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon.
Like
A
actual
literal
Millennium
falcon.
It
It's
gotta
like a
take one of-
thunderbird. It could be like a huge raptor, like an eagle big enough to carry off a grown person.
Yeah, there's large reptiles there.
Thunder lizard.
Like large lizards that hunt people.
Like that one
There's
that Obi-Wan
these-
Kenobi was riding in Revenge of the Sith. They get shot off. Spoilers.
Yeah, there's
Bird iguanas.
yeah, there's large felines, large feline creatures that also hunt people. And then something mischievous, a mischievous sort of fauna.
Like a
Ewok.
Yeah,
like a
something.
primitive Wookiee.
What?
Maybe
say
not.
some birds are
Like a feral Wookiee
some
race.
birds are super smart, and if we
Seriously.
already have giant birds, we could have like basically
Yeah.
giant, really mischievous crows.
I'm here for that. I am all here for that.
I'm scared of big birds. This is going to be terrifying. Yes, please.
Giant
Alright.
mischievous crows.
I want the humanoid there to be like indigenous Wookiee, like old Wookiees. Wookiees from the past where like you actually got to worry about, like like how early man had like Neanderthal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we have, like,
Well, I mean,
big
studies-
mystery people.
I mean, they're violent if you mess with them, but like they try to stay away from you, just like the Yeti.
Okay. So I think we've got a good like idea of the dangerous world that we see here, well enough that we can improv into it. So we've got some scary bad guys out there. We've got ruined civilization. We've got maybe an abandoned Mandalorian base on the far side. Something crazy with the Force here, crazy enough that they built a Jedi temple to specifically direct studies to a forgotten art with the Force. We've got dinosaurs and giant. We've got a lot of giant birds. We've got Millennium Falcons. So
Well,
right-
I
think that they
mean,
were
that is
dinosaurs
kind
at
of what a
first.
dinosaur is.
yeah.
Yeah,
They were
that's
dinosaurs
true.
at first.
Oh no, Millennium Falcons! And you just hear like,
It's thing somewhere.
Hey, have you ever heard of
Giant
grackle?
Falcon-
that's where Lando got the name. Yes, yes. There we go. That's canon in Star Wars now, George. So sorry.
That's what happens when you sell to Disney. What?
Careful, they're listening.
I'm gonna,
They'll shut us
I'm gonna
down.
draw a Millennium Falcon one day. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Please. They sound awesome already. Like giant, kind of black and red feathered hawk creatures that have wingspans the size of a city block.
That should be fast.
Yeah.
That's the Falcon's known for its speed.
It reminds me of
They
like
gotta be
the
junky
Rock
looking.
from Dungeons and Dragons 5e, but just like more feral looking.
I
yeah.
picture a really fast, raggedy bird.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to be a big ask, okay? Because you guys aren't
Big ask.
normally on a D&D stream, but I'm guessing that everybody has a D20.
Yes.
If not,
There's a D,
Fantasy
Any
Grounds.
D20.
Everybody
there's a
should roll.
D20 in Fantasy Grounds.
Yes, there
Yes.
is.
Is it actually part of this set?
Yes, I didn't turn it off.
Roll
They're
D20.
all the way stuck in the corner.
Yeah, but I will be using my evil red D20, metal D20 here
Hey,
I'll roll in
Wait,
fantasy ground.
is it
for the
physical
dark
dice?
side of the Force.
Right, do physical dice.
I'll roll in fantasy ground to be that guy.
Okay, so
Who?
Oh, you
Wee.
broke Fantasy Ground, Dom.
No, I didn't. Shut up.
You broke it.
okay, so I don't have the ability to add media. Shoot, do I? Images. I can't add anything on here, can I?
Yeah, more stuff on the fly. What do you want?
Well, I was hoping to add the cards in. I've got the images for them. I'm not going to be able to share the graphics on them or deal them out without putting them into Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah, that.
I'm going to put them into our Discord, and if you can just save them, Lazy Bones, and add them in and share them out depending on people's roles. That's it. You know to do all that?
Let's see. I actually don't know how to add media onto Fantasy Grounds. Let's see.
Okay, so if you go into your images folder and then add folder, and then it's right there. That's literally all you got to do is you just select a folder that's on your hard drive, and anything you put in that folder will show up in Fantasy Grounds, and you can right-click share it to the party.
Interesting.
Let's see.
Interesting.
Good.
Most
Images.
interesting.
How do I upload stuff?
Volume.
Let's see. We are learning on the fly here.
Yes, this is a very ragtag stream. A very messy.
Rangtangle. I'm using that.
It's been a long day. It's 8 o'clock here for me. Like you Americans have different time zones. You've just woken up.
How dare you?
I'm gonna be even more British and eat a Jaffa cake on stream.
Let's see.
I'm just blowing up your.
Yes.
What?
It didn't sound like it.
You
No.
didn't sound brother.
Okay.
It didn't sound British.
I'm done. I'm out here. No.
Doesn't want to hang out
Let's
with
I could have squeezed from Louisiana.
Surprised! I didn't even guess that I'm not American. Oh,
Southern American voice.
I just noticed you got red in your beard.
Okay.
It was red. It's kind of pink now. I was just using the leftover dye from V.
Let's see. So I need to save all of these.
Yeah. And
Save
you can probably just save the ones that we roll for, right? I'm going to roll a d20 now.
Yeah. Let's have
And
everyone
the
roll a
files
D-
are numbered. So
Yes.
it's very easy to save the ones and share it with me in Fantasy Grounds. So I rolled a 4. Share card number 4 with
Match
me.
numbers. The one's double
let's see.
yours.
Card number 4.
I'll look
Yes.
on the profile.
Let's see. Dom rolled a 17.
I did. I hope that's good.
Card number 17.
Probably not. Oh yeah, there are exactly 20 cards. That's good for D20 using. Okay, awesome.
Let's see. I will roll a d20. Card number 3. Let's see. What did everyone else get?
18.
18.
Beautiful.
Card number 18.
That number.
Oh no, I'm looking at card 17. Oh.
Let's see.
Okay.
Gary and Drake, what cards? What
I got
numbers did you
11.
roll? An 11.
Yeah. 11.
Okay. And Mr. Finney,
A whopping 1.
a number 1.
Numero
Juan.
uno.
Natural 1.
Yeah. Thank
Alright.
God it's not dandy.
So- yeah. All right, let me save all these.
And so we get to just like play these when either the situation is met or at any time if it says any time.
If it meets the criteria, then you get to play the card.
Mine's a play at any time, and I'm going to ruin this adventure so hard. Oh, man. I feel bad for our wanderer.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well,
Here we
you know, it wouldn't be Star Wars without losing a limb.
Or multiple.
I know. The Skywalker
I
way.
hate you.
All right, so we are nearly ready to begin our tale. The first scene has to contain some piece of lore which hints at the truth of the area or the powerful adversary who haunts it. If anyone has a good idea of the role of the lore, don't say anything, but you can play the world for the first scene. At the end of each scene, we'll pass our role, World Wanderer or Chorus, to the left, so everyone will get a turn in every role. Now, because this is a stream and we don't actually have lefts or anything like that, we can either go around the loop here. I'm doing that in reverse. That was pretty good. I got the right way first time. We can go clockwise around the stream, or we can roll initiative in Fantasy Grounds and use that as our order, because I think that would be really cool.
Sure. Can I add my dex bonus of -3? Because I'm slow.
Well, you're actually a narrator, so you don't have a stat block.
Well, shit. Okay, I'll roll my initiative check. Here we go. Huh.
Yeah, all right.
I'm a highest.
Okay, so
Get wrecked, GM. I'm faster than you.
The GM will remember this.
No, don't kill Dio, please. This is a fun side game.
Roll a
Please.
d20 on that one.
He's gonna somehow kill Dio during this game.
Oh, yeah.
Grab your mouse, grab the d20 in the corner.
The Wanderer fires a massive cannon into the sky.
Yeah, throw it
It
on there,
somehow pierces through the ship called the Fortitude and blows up a poor pilot.
Okay.
Amazing.
I actually
I-
a character sheet.
So far, I'm the
Let's
face.
see. I'm having a hard time adding the media to Fantasy Grounds.
It's probably actually easier if people go onto the Bleak Spirit Google Drive and then go into the collection of cards because they're all numbered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saves going to add them in. I will repost the link for it for all of us here, just again in the Discord, so it's at the bottom. And then it is just the card pack, and then just find your numbered one, and then just keep that tab open for when you need your card.
All right.
Oh, Corey's faster than me.
Oh, that was fortuitous that I played the world the first round. That makes it easier, right? Because I've gone through this whole
That makes it a lot easier, actually.
All right, so the first thing before we actually jump into the world, we're each going to invent a location on the moon of Xun. Okay? So we know that we are going to be in the confines of some sort of fallen Jedi temple. What does a temple have? Does it have a classroom? Does it have a holocron chamber? Does it have all of these different things? They're places where we are going to interact with things, okay? And potentially even creatures. So I'm just going to make this extremely easy and start this off with there is a shrouded cave with glowing crystals and a holocron protector somewhere on this moon within a speeder's distance. You can get there relatively easily within an hour's travel probably. So I'm going to create location 1 here is going to be the prismatic cave.
Funky ass name, Prismatic Cave.
Well, yeah, we'll step into it. It's got effects like prismatic spear and spray combined. I know, I'm a master. What can I say? All right, so the lore, when we go to this, will be up to the world to define what that actually means. All I'm going to put in there is that it's called the Prismatic Cave, and the idea is that it's a place where there's glowing crystals of various colors and holocron play deck.
It sounds interesting.
The Wanderer is curious. Oh, wait, that's his thoughts. No, we can't narrate his thoughts. The Wanderer feels nothing.
Yeah. So who's the Wanderer and who's the world at this point?
We'll get to that in just a moment. It will
see.
go in initiative order, but at the 19 I created the first location. It looks like 17 is going to be done. If you will tell us what is the second location that is on this game.
Okay. On this abandoned ass moon, somewhere on. I'm taking a lot of inspiration from the scene behind you, Mr. DM Corey. I'm loving this ruined, like aqueductish, like temple. Oh, thank you for moving out of the way. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Thank you,
yeah,
Google.
I think like a temple
That's kind of like what I've seen in my head too.
I want to say like a civilization that's kind of sunk into a swamp. It's like a half submerged place.
Okay. So all right.
Yeah, like partially aquaticated ruin after the great monsoon seasons on this planet have kind of drowned this temple in this valley, and it's like bad architecture has sunk into the swamp and been like half submerged. So some of the rooms of this building are still underwater, like in swampy, gross territory.
That is going to be super fun to explore and extremely dangerous. I love it.
Yeah.
I just called it Submerged Ruins.
Sounds good to me.
Submerged Ruins.
Prismatic K. I'm going to note these all down for myself as well.
Yes. All of these should be written down on index cards, or
I see.
However you're doing, so that you can write down bits of lore and NPCs that we encounter there, and your conjecture about it. So next we have an 11, which is also Dom.
What?
Yeah, he rolled twice. The 17 was for his card, but I think I would be next in the initiative order.
It doesn't change actually. Yep. So that would be the 10 would be next.
Yes. Let's do. I suppose in keeping in theme with the Dark Souls-esque aesthetic of this game, let's create the bonfire. So I'm going to call this place the Smuggler's Cove, the respites, the place of civilization. Maybe the smugglers there, maybe they're not, but this is a place where someone comes to drop off extra goods or keep things in case of emergency.
I love this. This is Blackbeard's treasure map, right?
Yeah,
Smuggler's
Smuggler's Cove. We'll call it that.
Animus, did you roll in Fantasy Grounds? You're also muted.
Wow. I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I just rolled an actual dice. I got an 8.
Cool.
We are tied with Mir's car, which
is
Gary.
No,
Yep, I was just saying it's got to be. All right. So both of you roll off. Who's going to go first?
Oh.
I've got Smuggler's Cove in there. I'm super excited.
In the roll.
13.
I got a 5.
Okay.
Ooh,
so
all right.
Slow
we
boy.
go with Animus first. Animus,
Okay.
give me the location.
I was thinking basically there is like traps set up somewhere protecting something, who knows, in like a cave or a ruin or something, but like pit traps and things you can set off, and some of them work and some of them don't because they're really old.
Like
Indiana
a training
Jones-esque.
type thing where monks
Yeah.
would get through. Yeah. that is totally something that you would find in a temple complex like this. That's fantastic. And like, I don't know, maybe make it all techie. There's like laser turrets and crap that motion sensors and the springboards that'll launch you up into the air to get shot by anti-air missiles. And no, I don't know.
Like
this
it.
is why we're just complete. It's a trap complex, right? Training complex. What do we want to call it?
I was calling it the traps room, but
Y'all watched the Clone Wars with the box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I am putting it in as the traps room. It is up for interpretation of the world. Whoever lands on that, and they pick this scene for to explore it and have the wanderer come to that location, it will be up to them to define what the traps room is.
Traps room.
Okay. Next is going to be Ripper. What do you got?
Only thing I can think of is more like an open plain, like what they had on Walking Dead, just empty. You probably can see the temple and a dentist in the distance. Just open as I don't know what. Like he almost like a desert, a field. I mean,
Open
because there's
plain.
vegetation there still, but there's a clearing of like miles. So
Okay, so
there's nowhere to hide for nothing. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, it's like a Starship landing field.
Yeah, Starship can land there easily, and everybody know you're there though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Because everything seems like it's condensed, So like there should be somewhere we can.
Somewhere. Oh yeah, that's all right.
The planes.
Last but not least, certainly, we've got Drake. What is your location?
Mine's going to be the Room of Reflection. Very similar to the tree on Dagobah. Very similar to certain organizations that let you sit in the room and contemplate life. But of course, this room will respond to those feelings and emotions much like the tree did. So as our wanderer wanders in, it will feed off of whatever the emotions are, the thoughts are. So
that is an amazing narrative tool. Thank you so much for that contribution. That gives me so many ideas, and I can't wait to see the Wanderer there.
Let's bully the Wanderer by making him introspective.
Okay. The Wanderer. So we are going to define our Wanderer. In fact, let's go ahead and go back to the script here and make sure that we are getting this set up. The Wanderer is the main character and is in every scene. When it's your turn to play the Wanderer, you speak for them. Again, like you're playing them in a film or a play, and describe their actions. But it's the world's job to tell you the results of those actions. Pay special attention to the Wanderer's mannerisms and expressions, because the Wanderer is a cipher. Their history, their true nature, and their inner thoughts are unknown to us. In fact,
Could the Wanderer be female but talk like Gary?
Like me.
Sure.
Yeah.
There is no reason not.
I got punched in the throat many times.
The world
You do sound like that at times.
The world is like the author of a book, except that they don't control the actions of the Wanderer. The world chooses where the scene is set, who or what is present, and whether the scene focuses on danger, interaction, or feature. Those are going to be three options. You don't have to declare it because we're learning. I would say it's a good tool for us to do so, and I would like to declare what we're going to choose in that scenario. And then the world will describe how other inhabitants of the setting act and play any talking characters like an actor or film or play. The world should bring the chorus in by pausing often to allow them to contribute details or elaborations, asking them questions, and building on the answers. Finally, the world chooses when to end the scene. So you're responsible for the lore, and once you feel that lore is sufficiently explored and that people have been able to interpret what you want them to know about it, then you can go ahead and bring the scene to an end. All right, and the chorus's role, everyone else plays the chorus. The chorus supports the world in a number of ways, primarily by adding sensory descriptions and elaborating on whatever the world describes. We don't take over the scene, we introduce lore, or do anything that would change the direction of the story. Instead, we try to reinforce the atmosphere which the world is trying to create. In addition, when the world asks us for questions, we provide answers, top of the head answers, not considered ones. We don't want to think about it too much. Finally, if the wanderer ends up in a conversation with multiple people, we'll play secondary characters so the world doesn't end up talking to themselves. Please, 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 don't make me talk to myself. It never ends up good. And I always end up needing a glass of water. All right, so we have not defined anything about the wanderer yet. Okay. Complete mystery as yet. All right, so during the first two parts of the game, scenes are focused on discovering lore. During every scene, the world will reveal one piece of lore. Lore is information either about the area itself, about the adversary, powerful threat which dominates it, or and the lore can be anything. It can be scrawled graffiti, clues to theories dropped by other characters, a powerful odor, a particular symbol of manifestation, or a powerful vision, anything that stands out as a significantly strange against the backdrop of the world we create. Okay? And the last thing before we start are special cards. Everyone gets one, and we can play them at appropriate times to change the rules of the game in ways specified on the cards. You don't have to use yours if you don't want to, but if you do see a perfect moment, play it. Now, the world is going to frame the first scene. I'm going to play the world of the first scene. They have the choice of a danger scene, an interaction scene, or a feature scene. A danger scene features some peril the wanderer will overcome and asks us what it costs them. An interaction scene features one of the strange people who live in the world, and a feature scene is a moment of peace wherein the wanderer can explore and examine their surroundings freely. If I frame a danger scene, then at the appropriate time, they in the course will suggest two prices, which will be the wanderer might pay to overcome the obstacle. The wanderer will choose one to pay. Okay? If the world frames interaction scene, they will create or later reuse a character from the wanderer to interact with. And depending on how the conversation goes, an interaction scene may become a danger scene. And that's fine. Just play it like a danger scene from there on out. Okay? And if the world frames a feature scene, that's an opportunity for us and as a team, as everybody, to get stuck in a detailed description of the location and really flesh it out. Okay? So, now that we've sort of fleshed all of that out of like the framework of how this is going to work, after every scene, you have a few things to do. Okay. Let's play the first scene.
Yeah.
We're going to play the first scene right here, right now. I'm going to be the world. I'm going to pick a location on this moon that we have just created. And I am going to choose a, you know what? I don't know anything about this wanderer, and I want to get a really good hook out there to understand who they are and what their capabilities are, okay? So I'm going to start us off with a danger scene, okay? Let me flip over here. So I'm going to choose, and we can revisit these at any time. There's nothing saying that we even have to go to a location at any time. There are opportunities for us as the world to choose, okay? So I think that we start out at the Starship landing area. The landing field, this desolate void of space, paved tarmac as far as the eye can see. the sun reflecting off of the 13 moons of this planet. I don't know how many planets. It has 13 moons now. And it's creating a full dial of shadows around our wanderer, who stands in the middle of this field. There are scorch marks in the field around them. There are little blackened bits of tarmac that denote somebody has been firing, and our wanderer is running full tilt toward the jungle, away from some form of small personal fighter ship is chasing and bearing down on them, lighting them up. The wanderer dodges back and forth between them in an attempt to evade and buy enough time to get to the jungle. So, second in the initiative order here, which I'm sorry I do not have access to, I'll need to actually write it down, is going to be Dom, who is going to be our wanderer for the first scene.
Bollocks.
The visual aesthetic of our wanderer.
Well, let's not give away too much of the wanderer to start with. So,
it's a cinematic scene. Describe their physical appearance and build and what they're wearing.
I'm thinking, seemingly quite well built. Broad in shoulder, but mostly due to the fact that it's wearing heavy armor. Kind of off-brand-ish Mandalorian headpiece. Broad shoulder pauldrons. I want to say like quite heavy leathers on the arms and the legs, with many kind of straps and buckles and bolts, and holstered weaponry of a couple of varieties across the hip. Just charging full pelt. Helmet visor still up, as has not yet had probably time to test the air of this planet. And so it's just bolting across the field away from the bloody terror in the sky. Also, there's a voice modulator box on the throat part just under the helmet.
Okay.
To mask their actual voice.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So the first trial sword in this scene, as this small starship is bearing down on you, is going to be to get to the jungle, which is maybe a quarter-mile distance still at this point. So you're going to be dodging blaster fire, and it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you... Yeah, thank you, Ripper. It's going.
How did you do that so fast?
He's a fucking wizard, is what he is. He's a wizard.
Well, show's over. We've seen him. This is our one. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Bleak Spirit.
Goodbye.
It's defined. Very nicely done. The world is going to exact the toll from you of this small ship is trying to fire the weapon off of your hip at the moment. It's going to catch you in the belt, and you're not going to have time to pick it up unless you want to suffer a different fate, i.e. probably being pierced by some sort of starship blaster fire. And the chorus is going to offer you an alternative cost to get to the edge of the jungle, and then you will choose which.
For the chorus's benefit, what weapon was dropped?
An explosive weapon of some kind. Either one that it could be used to take out the starfighter, or could be potentially used to clear out some blockage somewhere.
Everyone's the chorus.
Yeah. That's my contribution.
So like a thermal detonator.
Yeah, a thermal, or like a rocket tube or something. One it's something that only has one use to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're losing if
That's what the
get to the
Wanderer is
forest?
going to lose by my estimation. Now, if the Wanderer doesn't feel that that is a fair price to give up their rocket launcher so early on, because we've just determined that they have some sort of incendiary rocket-propelled device that they are going to use in some later scene, the alternative is being shot and dealing damage to the Wanderer, and perhaps is going to be bleeding and wounded through the rest of the scenes.
From a starship, that's a lot of blaster fire.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Well,
has
he's wearing
armor, so maybe armor should be damaged in a certain spot that was compromised, and that's where the blood will be coming through. I mean,
Yeah, or
He does have
perhaps
armor.
being shot instead of being wounded, it would damage the armor in such a way that would hamper their agility.
Yeah, like it wouldn't work as well anymore.
like his arm can't bend straight or something, or
Fused it to his
he
body.
can't function the guns right.
I like that actually, like if it damaged it so that like his arm was stuck in a weird position.
So he's running around like this.
Yeah, that's the. I think we're in agreement here. It is pick up the weapon and be shot and have agility hampered, or abandon the weapon and make it to the jungle. I think those are the two costs.
I
The
love
Wanderer
I say abandonment.
looks up the starship, curses under his breath, and reaches for the explosive device.
Oh, so you are shot with this blaster. It's set on a lower level. It's not designed for. Well, there's anti-personnel laws out there about shooting ground troops with like military vehicles and whatnot. And this thing, it senses that this is a person that you're shooting here, and it uses a lower power. It does, however, completely shut down and overload the control circuit in your heavy armor. So now it is a burden to control anything to do with your left side. But you have managed to pick up your rocket launcher and strap it back onto your back. And just as you dive into the jungle, you're forced to make another pass and loses you in the heavy, dense undergrowth. And that is where we're going to wrap the first scene of our scenario. We have built.
Oh, I see.
We have built a little bit of the appearance of our Wanderer here. We've defined some of their equipment, about what they do and do not have, and some of their capabilities. We have learned that they need to keep this rocket launcher for some purpose, and it has a value to it. Okay, they were willing to get shot by a starship for this thing. So now we leap to conclusions.
What?
Yeah, so we
all take some notes here and not shout them out. But what does this mean about the Wanderer? What does this mean about their mission? Why are they here?
Okay.
Okay, so first, while it's still fresh in our minds, we're going to leap to conclusions. This just means that writing down what you think is really going on, what the real story behind the place is, and who or what the adversary might be. Most importantly, you do this without discussing it with the other players. Everyone's ideas should come from them and them alone. At this point, none of us have very much to go on, so the idea might get pretty wild, and that's just fine. You'll be able to refine them or throw them out and start again after every scene. And by the time the end game rolls around, you'll have a concrete idea of what's going on. Second, if the Wanderer has been behaving in a consistent manner, we can add another behavior to their index card. We don't have to, but we can. We say there's anything about their behavior that we can determine that we want to actively add as a group that we observe about the Wanderer? Too early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost stubbornness is definitely a trait going on so far.
Okay.
Hmm.
I
They
would
are
agree to that.
I will say that the trait is dedicated. The behavior is dedicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably a better word for it.
Okay. Third, if we've learned anything about the area or the location, we note that down on the relative index cards. Relevant. What have we learned about the location?
Is this a thing that we shout out, or are we still jumping to conclusions here?
So this is after the conclusions portion. This is that we are actually writing down lore for use in future scenes if we were to come back here. So this is our communal understanding of the area.
Well, we know that someone else is here, and they
Yeah.
are not too keen. They are not too keen on strangers.
Someone clearly doesn't want us on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says that we got here first because they were in a starship and we weren't. So they maybe followed us.
Or maybe the starship was here before.
So this is either from a local or from someone who followed us to the planet.
Careful now.
Mhm.
Now you're starting to get into speculation
Yeah,
about
that's jumping to conclusions.
I see.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we're looking at lore, not what might something mean. What have we learned? Facts.
Yeah, is that there is someone else here with a personal starfighter.
Okay.
That is willing to
fact
lay
we know
waste
for
to
sure.
the Wanderer.
Yes. Or yeah, I mean, they're willing
That
to
is
shoot this.
aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't a capture mission, obviously, if they're going to hit him with blaster fire, or ship blaster fire.
Someone wants to hurt us, the poor wanderer. Please don't hurt me. I'm so soft and scared.
All right. And then after that, fourth, if everyone is still feeling good about the game, have we done anything on the ban list? Have we reached anything that's a problem or anything that we want to redact for comforts?
No.
You.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. And now we're going to pass our rolls to the left in this particular case, down the initiative order, where Dom, you are going to take on the role of the world. You're going to pick one of the locations and you're going to narrate what happens there based on your conclusions of what you think is going to happen next. And then after you is going to be Lazy Bones with a 10 in the initiative, who is going to be the Wanderer in the next scene. And we're going to give you a little bit of time.
Wow.
So, part one of the world has just ended, and now we enter part two. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. That's not what I was supposed to read there. That's after we do 5 scenes. Scratch that. Sorry. Okay.
So I suppose then the Wanderer was previously heading towards the forest. So the Wanderer is searching for something, and that something, the place the Wanderer is searching for, is going to be this Smuggler's Cove, the kind of hidden away area on this planet between dense forest and deep water, in the side of this sloping hillside, an inward inlet into the side of the mountain where there is this orange glow coming from within, where the Wanderer can find a campfire still burning. Not sure if it is by a previous occupant who has been there recently or by some other means, but there seems to be a constant warmth coming from this place. And inside there is just basic kind of, almost like bits of disregarded furniture small stools and stone chairs, all crafted that looks like they've been crafted maybe by locals or something. Shoddily hand-thrown together bits and pieces of tiles and furnishing. And this is going to be whatever the third scene was, the one they can sit or they can reflect on something. What was that one called again, Corey?
That would be... Hold on. I got it right. It would be a feature scene. You have danger, interact, or feature.
This would be a feature scene, as the Wanderer has just, taken a wound and has to get ready to prepare. So head to the Smuggler's Cove, the only location, the nearest location to them. And so the Wanderer enters the cave, the Smuggler's Cove, and feels the warmth of the fire nearby.
Okay.
That's so fucking cool, Gary. My God.
So now
hurt his arm.
Yeah. As the chorus, we will embellish the world, not change any of the narrative, but we will just describe things a little more. And I'm assuming this is the sunken, half-submerged temple, right?
Oh, this was Lazy Bones is described as Smuggler's Cove.
Smuggler's Cove. Okay. The bonfire. Perfect.
A very Dark Soulsy one.
I didn't play Dark Souls. I know. I'm not a console gamer.
Well, luckily Lazy Bones did. That's why I picked this site.
So okay, it's good because this actually game is a lot inspired by the bleakness from.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that it is fast fading to evening. The green emanations over the jungle, the light coming through, the methane rising, has set a tinge of unhealth to the area. Even the firelight glows a sickly color, and the rest of the camp seems to be quieting.
The Wanderer walks in the Wanderer walks in blaster pistol drawn. This is his third person as we can get. Scanning sectors, and after taking some time to ensure that they're alone, they sit down in front of the fire and take off, unseal the helmets, seals hissing, and they pull off the heavy T-shaped T-visor helmets. And we reveal an older looking Chiss woman who has a shaved head and a burn scar on the left side of her face.
Okay.
Thankfully, the air is not toxic, and the Chiss is fine. The air around the bonfire, it is this kind of, it's almost musky, because it's dense, damp jungle, but there is the nice, gentle burning smell of strangely, constantly burning ash in front of the Wanderer as well.
And as the Wanderer takes a moment to breathe and starts tinkering with the scorched parts of her armor.
The armor is pretty badly messed up. It was quite the sacrifice to bring their explosive device from being chased by a starfighter, and sadly, it looks like this thing is pretty stuck in its broken state, and it's either going to have to be lived with, or it's going to have to be detached from the rest of the armor.
She looks at the rocket tube that's, after taking off her equipment and placing it next to the fire, she looks at the rocket tube slung to the side of her backpack, and she says, "You'd better be worth all of this," as she starts disassembling her armor, taking it off piece by piece.
All right. The sun is going behind the various moons that have aligned across the planet. It's almost like it's weaving through this asteroid belt of moons. The light is constantly being in cracks. Almost like half eclipse is constantly going down between different bits of moons as the sun is mostly setting around this area. And the sounds of the surrounding jungle get louder and louder. The sounds of snarls of animals and wing beats in the distance, which is where we'll end the scene.
All right. Very nice. Very
nice. To the world next to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So now is when we jump to conclusions.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So write down your conclusions of which you have jumped onto.
Okay. So
No, I'm dyslexic right now. It won't help me at all.
I've got some conclusions I'm jumping to. I'm seeing pieces connecting. I'm liking this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Has the Wanderer been behaving in a consistent manner? Do we have a behavior that we would like to add to the list? Something that we can establish is in fact a characteristic of the Wanderer?
I think the fact that you describe them as old, like an older Chiss, definitely speaks to kind of like a wizened, stubborn determination. It just I think it reinforces their dedication as well.
Okay, so dedication, yeah. We've seen, okay, so how about, so we said dedication. What about self-sacrificing? We've got dedication to take fire from a starship, but we've also got the "you had better be worth it."
Yeah, dedication and self-sacrificing. They're clearly here for a very intense purpose.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Have we learned anything about the area or the location of the campfire of this Smuggler's Cove?
That there is some kind of magic in the area, it seems. And also, I think we've learned that monsters come out at night.
Yes. So there is a nocturnal threat on this planet. In fact, I'd say that's actually about Zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fourth, are we all still feeling good? Everything's A-okay on board? No changes to lore based on anything? Okay, perfect. And finally, we're going to pass our rolls again. I will say we should all feel comfortable as the chorus. In fact, I want you to go around in a circle after the world speaks. I would like the chorus to each take a moment and describe some aspect and embellish upon what the world has done, so we can flesh it out a little further. And while the chorus is doing that, I would like the world to focus on the piece of lore that they're trying to unveil in this scene, so that we can drop it in as the Wanderer interacts with the scene right after that. Okay? So, Lazy Bones, tell us about the next scene.
So the next scene we're going to go to is the submerged ruins. The Wanderer leaves the cave after spending several hours there to catch her breath, and she wanders through the jungle. Evading threats, fighting them off as she needs to, but eventually she arrives on the precipice of a valley, and below her is half sunken into water and mud is an expansive temple complex. The main building in the temple complex, which stands 20, 30 feet above the rest of the complex, the entire right side of the building has seemingly been blown away by something. But to make this an interaction scene, she hears a clanking and a grinding when she makes it to the bottom of the valley. She hears rotors and gears turning, and as she peers behind a bush, she sees an old, ancient, rusted droid just stuck in the mud, eternally trying to pull itself out, stopping after a few seconds, sinking back down, and then rising up out of the mud for a few seconds, and then sinking back down.
All right. So the chorus. How can we embellish this scene and then have the Wanderer react? I will say that the vines have actually grown up around this thing, this droid. It's been there long enough, and you can tell that it's the mud isn't the problem that's keeping it down, but it is the issue that will immediately end it should it cease its struggle. There's a sulfurous stench from this mud, and it is a putrescent yellow and bubbles with steam.
Like forest vomit.
I guess there's also like probably more bits and pieces around that signify that there would be a presence of droids nearby. Around the temple near the park, there is all these small bits and pieces, like small bolts, bits of droid kind of armor plating scattered about. More pieces of droids that were clearly here that have now, that are now no longer here, and all that's left is scrap bits and pieces of them, and it seems this is the only one still moving from a cursory perspective.
Kind of like a droid version of Walking Dead scene.
Anything else to add, Gary?
My brain is kind of empty on this kind of thing. I'm doing is visualize what you guys are seeing for the most part. As far as moving forward to it, all I can do is smell it. Your descriptions are so good, I can smell it. Maybe that could be affecting the person to the point where the stench around there is eating at their armor. This bubbling yellow stuff doesn't sound natural.
Well, and thinking about the bubbling yellow stuff, I see it since the droids are so strewn about. It doesn't quite affect
Metal.
biosystems as it does metal and artificial. So perhaps this walking droid is just trying to keep itself moving, to keep itself alive, because everything else has become too stationary, ends up being dissolved by it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Something organic like leather or.
Yeah, taking her down to what's possibly going to have to be the basic route, because, definitely if it's a droid, it gets eaten alive.
All right.
Yeah, I believe it is Animus who's the Wanderer now.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think the Wanderer is going to stand up, since this droid is pretty clearly incapacitated, and ask in an authoritative voice what the droid's programming / orders are.
The droid turns its head like 270 degrees, or like a full rotation, and it looks at the Wanderer and states, spews out a long code. This unit identifies as 018 Alpha, and goes on for several seconds in a long code, and states, this droid's purpose is to facilitate training for combat and reflexes. And a harsh tone emits from the droid, and it says, warning, no connection to central server.
Well,
And
that's good.
It lets out like an alarm sort of blaring, and then the head turns back around, and it appears to try to refocus on pulling itself out of this mud.
Well, the Wanderer has decided that is not. It's going to keep walking. That's what the Wanderer is going to do. We're not doing thoughts. The Wanderer is going to keep walking. Ignore the droid at this point. But I think because the Wanderer doesn't want to risk being seen, we're going like down, maybe not in the sulfurous mud, but as close as we can below walls. Like not necessarily taking the high, safe route, but staying low. Making our way into the temple or the ruins.
Okay.
So, the water.
Yeah. So the submerged ruins are hard to navigate. Taking the low road. The Wanderer is constantly in either knee-deep mud or water. It is hard to traverse. The water is cold, despite the hot temperature of the air. And she finds that there's a lot of blocked passages. Either by doors, doors that seem to be locked and barred, or otherwise passages that seem to have collapsed.
Maybe she looks up for higher ground. Does she have a grappling hook or something? Something cool in her gauntlet? And she would try to find some higher ground so she can look down on everything and get a better look at stuff. The temple, so it has this,
River. So, real quick, just as a quick reminder, the Wanderer will be played by Animus during this scene. We will sort of embellish upon, as the chorus, the environment around, but all choices for the Wanderer will be made by the Wanderer.
So, when necessary to get over, because the Wanderer is determined, can it keep going even if she has to climb over things, and is very strong, good at climbing, just hauling herself over obstacles, got like a blaster in one hand, keeping an eye out while climbing over and then going low again whenever possible.
And the Wanderer finds herself in the central courtyard of the submerged temple. In front of her are a dozen different paths, as well as in the center of this courtyard, there is a large tree that is just growing. And the Wanderer hears the sound of birdsong. There are dozens and dozens of songbirds living in this tree. And I think that is where we are going to end the scene, with several dozen passageways in front of the Wanderer.
All right. Okay, so next we are going to jump to conclusions about that and what we can interpret from the scene about the Wanderer, their objectives, what is not being said, and why they're here. So what can we say is lore that we've learned about the Wanderer in this scene?
Cold to machines.
Yeah, she is cautious.
Just like, droids, take your purpose, and then left it in the mud.
She is cold and unfeeling towards mechanical beings.
It seems to be, yeah. It's like, all right, droids have a semblance of like sentience about them. I just went, no, I can do this myself. Fuck the machine. Left it in a swamp.
The machine is sounding dangerous, actually. You know,
Yeah,
so it snap.
Like, chose to continue alone without information rather than getting the droid out to help with
now
finding.
we're drawing conclusions right there. So we're gonna put those on our paper. But the facts that we can take from this is that she left it in the mud, and she continued with the mission on into the temple complex. Now, what have we learned about the complex itself? There's smaller birds here, right? And there's light, and it's somewhat tame compared to the wilderness that we've heard outside in the rest of the night. So we can assume that it's a protected area, perhaps. Maybe even that's conjecture, you know? We can see that there are smaller birds here.
It also may be that this is the temple, the Jedi temple she's looking for, because it seems like there were training droids and training droids are often used for, younger people. This could be the training place that was mentioned earlier.
We don't know why she's here, though.
No, but it could be the place that was mentioned earlier. This could be a Jedi temple of sorts. Or at least was. Because there's clearly a lot of droids littered about. It's not just the one training droid, there were clearly a few.
Excellent. So we can say there are tons of droids littered about. All right. And then, how are we all feeling?
Good.
I will say, Ripper, I am very sorry for interrupting you there. I was not in any way trying to...
I'm working anyway.
Oh yeah, we are all learning the rules of this game. And,
Yeah.
and trust me, you're about to be the wanderer in the next scene. So
I don't know. I didn't do too much longer.
Yeah, so let's go over the traits that I think we've decided on about the Wanderer. So we know that she's dedicated, self-sacrificing,
yes,
cautious,
Machinophobic.
and cold towards machines.
unsympathetic.
Unsympathetic towards the plight of artificial intelligences.
Okay. She has a rocket launcher that has a bigger purpose.
And she isn't wearing any more armor.
Okay. She is an older chick too, as well. So we know quite a bit about her, but we don't know why she's here. All right. Okay. With that, we're going to come into the next scene, where Animus, you are going to be the world. You are going to tell us where she's going next. Is it going to be in the same scene, or is it going to be in the same location, or will we leap forward to where she's in a different location and has chosen from the dozens of paths before her? And then, Ripper, you will be the wanderer in this scene. The rest of us are going to play a chorus, and we will embellish and we will help you sort of flesh this out, Animus. So I'm super excited.
I want to say the Wanderer is still in this courtyard area, has not made any decisions yet. And this tree that's in the center of the courtyard that has these birds on it, it's like markedly different from all of the other trees that you've seen in the area. Like, it looks healthier, more like kind of what you would imagine like a perfect tree looks like, in this center with these little birds fluttering around, and there's nests and there's babies and like butterflies flying around. It's like a very idyllic scene, which is strange in the middle of this otherwise pretty harsh jungle world.
What type of scene are you running? Will this be a danger scene, a feature scene, or an interaction scene?
I'm going to say a feature scene.
Okay. So this will be about describing everything around. I want my contribution to your description. I will add that as you look up towards the sky, or as the wanderer is looking around, you note that there is some form of field, some energy field of some sort that is protecting the domed-in architecture of this this plaza where the tree is growing. And these small birds are either captive or protected for being in this area with this solitary tree. There is a sparse growth of new grass growing between the stones of the plaza, and a few dysfunctional fountains littered about the area. Perhaps this was a quiet meeting place. That'll be my contribution.
I'll bung in for you, Gary, that this whole place, or this tree, as Anna has described, is far more lush and like it's much more picturesque and nice than the other ones. And it seems to have spread outwards. All the grass and foliage nearby is all much nicer and more lush and rich. And it has spread down most of the pathways nearby. I say most, because there's one of the pathways where all of the vines and nice grass kind of stops before the entranceway, as there's clearly not all of it's being touched by this lovely, delicious, beautiful tree and nice new nature. Some of it is being held back down certain pathways.
Hmm.
Lazy Bones, you got anything to put in?
Yeah, there are no there's no dead vegetation on the ground. Like no leaves have fallen onto the ground. This tree is deciduous, so it has large, broad leaves like an oak tree. Right? Yes. Yeah. That's the right one.
Or maybe
Correct.
Yeah. This tree has large, broad oak leaves, and large, broad leaves, and at some points it has flowers blooming in between. But there are no petals nor any leaves littering the ground around the tree.
I guess she can't help but feel it. So I guess she walks up to the tree, all enduring, looking at it like she's in love with it. I guess she can nail down to it, and then she tries to speak to it with her mind or something. She kneels down and she quietly just closes her eyes, and then she tries to understand what's going on around there spiritually.
I think she doesn't hear like any words or anything, but she first gets like a sensation of like calm and safety, but then also sensation of urgency.
So let's keep it to the surface. Anything that an observer would be able to see, as if we were ourselves force ghosts. We can't actually intuit what she is feeling or thinking about anything, so we will just keep it to the surface.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it would be up. So like rules wise, it would be up to the next wanderer, or no, it would be up. Yeah, it would be up to the current wanderer to decide what happens, if at all. Because we, as the chorus and world, can't see into the mind of the
None of us
wanderer.
can. Not even
none of us.
Basically,
Okay.
Okay, then
let's
she
do
thinks she
this.
can hear the spirits of the birds. She thinks that she assumes that's what she's hearing. If she hears anything, she can't make out any kind of language, but she does hear something that would make her feel like there's some kind of life force, and she thinks it's the birds.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe instead, let's like when the wanderer goes up and tries to commune with the trees, suddenly all the birds start getting very loud and like crowding around.
Is this a point where? Is this the point where the chorus could embellish a little more?
Absolutely.
Like, would we? I would say that the birdsong gets louder, and where it was dozens of different songs, they all suddenly sync up and become one birdsong. These dozens of birds, which are all singing their own, it becomes one chorus, I suppose, of birdsong.
But she just hears whispers. She doesn't hear the birds at all. She's in a different plane. She hears whispers. She hears like spirits. The birds are making as much noise as they can, but she can't make it out. She doesn't hear them physically. She can hear them mentally.
You've triggered my trap card. I'm going to play my card now because it has a moment that it works. I have the transformation card. Either via inner strength, an external curse, or adaptation to the world, you can play it at any time. The Wanderer undergoes a physical transformation into a new form, possibly with accompanying emotional or intellectual changes. And so, with the rapturous bird song and the voices all around and the touching of the tree and the feeling of nature, the change the Wanderer undergoes is a mental one, a deeper connection to whatever this entity is around her. I would say that the change she undergoes would be a mental connection to this strange force that is making nature stronger. as if it might be forced, it might be something else, but she gains an affinity for it. As if by some sort of ritual from the birds and the voices and the nature and the trees. And that's my card used.
All right.
Love it. Excellent. So now the screen continues when the card ends. So something transformative has happened to the Wanderer from an external observation. She perhaps appears more enlightened and in tune with the birds. I will add, as this transformation takes place, that the birds scatter off of the tree.
She seems like she feels something pull her, and she runs back to the droid.
Which I think is a great place to end that scene.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
okay.
let's leap to conclusions real quick and write down any observations. So we are going to make what we think is going on here. As the Wanderer is running back to the droid after undergoing some sort of transformation. Okay, so what behaviors have we gleaned from the Wanderer at this point?
Inquisitive.
Definitely spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in tune. Attuned. There we go. That's the word.
Attuned. She has attuned with this tree in one form or another. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What have we learned about the temple complex?
Oh no, this is. Well, no, I'd say this is something an outside observer would be able to glean from watching this happen, is that there is a like an extra sensory force here.
There is something special about this tree. The tree is now part of this world, that it is some sort of icon of a larger power, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we can call that lore.
I think you'd be able to tell that the tree was actually had the temple built around it, other than just the tree growing through the lushness, because they did protect it with the force shield as well. So the tree was there.
The tree is significant.
The tree is significant. Whether the tree or the temple came first would definitely be leaping conclusions, though. It's a very inspired one. You've now influenced all of us with a creative giant like that. Great one. Okay. Does anybody have any assertions that we can make this time?
There's something stopping the nature somewhere within this temple as well. There is something wrong here, I think is what can be gleaned.
Okay. Something is unhealthy. Outside or inside the temple?
By the looks of it, inside, I think. It was from one of the passages. They're probably led deeper in by look of the land.
Okay. All right. How is everybody doing? We all feeling like we're good? We got a good contribution? Got some ideas about what the heck is going on with this story that we're telling here?
My brain is melted.
Yeah. We also have 40 minutes. Oh dear.
Oh no, we're right on. So we have one more scene in the first act. Ripper, you are going to be the world in this one, and you will be the last of the first act. And that means that Drake, you will play the Wanderer in this coming scene.
Yeah, I got that one right.
So we're back at the droid, correct? Well, no, that would be for the world to decide. Excuse me, pardon me.
I guess she so explain what she would be doing, right?
What she is surrounded by. So Drake is going to play her and make all of the decisions about what we perceive of the Wanderer in this one, not her motivation, but what we perceive of her. You will define all of the lore and the interactions and the external stimuli that she is going to interact with.
Okay, then it seems that actually going back to the droid, she's able to notice there's more droids, there's more lights, there's more circuitry, there's more things actually coming to life around her, other than just that one droid she initially seen. From the path there, from the temple all the way back to him, is way more than she thought she was there before.
Ooh, then I am going to play my card, which is their own agenda. And so I can play at the start of a scene where any other character is present, and the character who was here before has dramatically changed their behavior or is now engaged in a new activity. But they are in the same location. So still at the temple complex, and there's more droids. I'm going to say the one droid that the Wanderer saw before has finally freed itself. Has finally freed itself of the mud, and now it seems to be directing several other droids to be clearing out rubble or trying to generally straighten up the temple complex. And that is my card. So,
is this a danger scene or an interaction scene?
Yes, Ripper. What should we be expecting?
I guess it could be a danger scene.
Oh shit!
Oh, this is
okay. Yeah, going off of my. Going off of my.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Going off of my card, upon seeing the Wanderer, the droids turn and aggressively start making their way towards the Wanderer.
I will add as the chorus that all of the droids that have been unearthed are in fact combat protocol droids. They are not necessarily the worker droids, though they are being used to refurbish the temple.
I guess I will also add that
Nothing like giving me 1,000 things at once.
As far as the description of the area around it, is that the droids only noticed, like, they only actually started getting their combat protocols in order when you arrived. So it looks like they had you can see that they were clearly, as Lisbon said, they were like digging away and refurbishing. So you see there are more passages around this area that they have been trying to unearth. And Animus?
I'm gonna say it's like there's stuff booting up around the temple, almost like places that just look like stone are now almost acting like computers, but that are just like starting up their protocols, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, matter computers. I love this.
And as a last piece of embellishment, as the lights come on around the temple, as the whole place is booting back up, As the lights come back on, the Wanderer notices that the walls are pockmarked by blaster scorch marks.
All right, Ripper, what have you got to add? Tie this all together, and then we can set this onto the Wanderer.
She hears the voices, I guess, huh? Right? Do it. Is that my spot?
As long as their voices everyone can hear, then it's fine.
No.
True.
So if we are doing this from a perspective that that the entity going to be interacted with is sort of a psychic voice, I think that it fits absolutely that it would be part of the world to interact and to do some sort of dialogue with the Wanderer that would be perhaps psychic from the world and spoken out loud by the Wanderer.
What do they say, Gary? What do the voices say?
She looks up and then she notices that she hears the voices and she looks up and she sees that the birds are above her.
You know what? I'm going to play Gary's card here because he hasn't had a chance to look at it yet because we got the multi-screens up. Gary's card was the beast inside. Played during any interaction scene. The character the Wanderer is talking to, or the character the Wanderer is talking to, because I was going to have the Wanderer start to address back to the robots, transforms into some monster and flees the location. If they're encountered again, it will be as a monster in a danger scene. If the lore has not been discovered, this scene becomes a feature scene instead. So I think that card fits that the world Gary's setting up, that all those robots, as they were about to engage in combat protocol, change into the birds that had left the tree and fly off. It's kind of tweaking the system a little bit, but
Wait, hold on.
it kind of
The Wanderer who played the world's card to change the scenario.
Well, I think that's what Gary was going with when I looked at his card because it's on our other screen. I went, that fits kind of what he said, where all of a sudden the birds reappeared. So,
Okay, yeah, Gary, that I think this is a fantastic storyline. If the droids transform into birds and fly away.
There were some weird birds. Some weird spiritual birds. I mean, where does the life force from a droid come from?
Ooh. We'll save that for leaping conclusions. All right.
Yeah, I've written some weird fucking conclusions.
What does the Wanderer make of this, and how do they react?
The Wanderer, as she comes up, everything, and you can see the confusion on her face because she has watched what was supposed to be a technical place she was in. All of a sudden, she glances back to the tree, and then she glances back to where these robots were. Now they're birds. And you can just see the confusion warping on her face that this, and she can even scream that this isn't what I was supposed to be here for. This was supposed to be cut and dry. Even when her tenseness on her neck is just being frustrated, as the chist being more scientific is now being faced with these questions, and she keeps cutting back and forth, darting between her eyes to the tree, as well as the robots. Now, you said the other ones went away. Did the big go away?
So the other ones what?
You said the other protocol droids that are the combat droids. But what about the main one that had freed itself?
The main one that freed itself, I remember she said that he was freed and she was directing other robots. Mm-hmm. So maybe I can't think what that one was doing. So other than the fact that what she said about a directing of the robots. Maybe it was finishing his protocol for what the main directive was. Whatever that may be. I can't think of what that may be just yet.
Are they little birds or are they big birds?
They're little bitty birds with a little big head. And in my head, actually, I picture little pink things that kind of, they're more beak and eye, and they have little bitty wings. This is super duper fat. They look almost like a fish.
Fish birds, of course.
Strange little bird. That
awesome.
The world is fucking mental.
Little birds.
All right.
You know.
Okay. So
some more looking good. No, give them antennae.
All right, so that makes this a feature scene from here on out, that it has been de-escalated from a combat scene, so we can continue to embellish upon the environment, which we have actually fleshed out fairly well at this point, and the Wanderer needs to react. Drake?
This is where I wish we were in the Wanderer's head. She watches the birds fly up and vanish away. The world said there was more cases sitting around. What is there?
Say it again?
The world said that there was more cases sitting around, right?
Yeah.
I think she's going to go. She'd go and start opening the cases, cracking them open, seeing what they contain inside.
World, what's in the cases?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing in there. As you can see, there's nothing in there. It's not that easy. There's nothing in there.
I like what you just said there. Yes, I like you.
Yeah.
Well, how does the Wanderer take that?
Very much frustration. She picks up, throws the first box in a direction, but as she throws it, she almost hears, her ears actually peak as she and everyone around would have heard actually things possibly that fell out, but she can't see them as she squints.
All right. Ripper, what kind of lore have you got to dump on us in this scene? Something that we can divine. Check with your conclusions that you've been leaping to, and try and insert some of that into the story here.
I don't want to write anything down. I'm dyslexic, so writing down is all bad. So what I'm thinking about is maybe that after she threw the box, activities are speaking up again, and the birds around her are making formations. Actually, they came back and they're making like strange formations around her, and the formations are seem to be chaotic based off the sounds of the technology around her on the ground is making, and the chaos around it kind of sounds similar to the voices she'd heard, but it's a little more clear, but a little less human.
Okay. What else would you like to drop on us before, or is that for it for the scene?
That could be in for the scene, yeah, because she's so tripping out.
Is there anything last we want to do with the Wanderer before we end this scene?
No. Especially since I get to be the world now.
But see, the stakes change now. stakes are going to change. Drake, you get to be the first world in the second act. Okay. So part 1 of the game has just ended, and now we enter into part 2. Starting with this next scene, at the end of any scene, the Wanderer can choose to initiate the final confrontation with the adversary. This can happen in one of 3 ways. 1, if at the end of a scene, the Wanderer decides to go somewhere where the adversary might be lurking, and if it feels like the right time, the player or the Wanderer can choose to initiate the final confrontation. The next scene will be the revelation. Alternatively, if after part 2 of the scene, the New World wants to initiate the final confrontation, they can choose to frame their next scene as the revelation. In this case, rather than the Wanderer entering the adversary's lair, the adversary comes to confront the Wanderer instead, wherever the Wanderer might be. And finally, if after 3 scenes in part 2, neither of the above has happened, the next scene will be the revelation, and it will take place wherever the Wanderer currently is and the adversary has chosen to come to them. So,
Who's the Wanderer now?
So, I guess that would be me. I'm the Wanderer.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep.
The Wanderer.
Your arms
Good.
around.
The warped mind that brought us here finally gets in the hot seat.
All right. One thing here. All right. So, oh world, tell us what I will be interacting with and where am I? And tell me of this mind-boggling scenario in which this just Wanderer has found themselves. Where are we?
More like mind melting. Well, as in traditional almost Star Wars format, you realize, I just should say, the world almost goes all black. You are the only one in there. The computer lights have dimmed. The birds have silenced themselves to a bit. Until finally, as the previous world said, a low voice that's now clear rings out, "Why have you come?"
I think you know why I'm here, says the Wanderer into the darkness. Where is
Oh, go ahead.
where is it?
I'm not telling.
Get fucked.
Keep on looking.
It's in both locations. And before you comes an image of that original droid that you left, and then the tree that you ran from on both sides. Almost 2 pathways leading for you to decide where you think it actually might be.
It's funny you should say think, because I'm going to play my card. A glimpse within. A diary. Read a manifesto, written a statement, heard. Play during any scene when you are the Wanderer. During this scene, we gain a glimpse into the Wanderer's inner life. You can describe the thought processes behind their actions or reveal emotional traits that have so far remained hidden. At the end of the scene, instead of a behavior, the Wanderer can gain a trait, a quality of their personality which remains constant even if their behavior suggests something else. So, the inner monologue at both comes to mind, and the Wanderer flashes back, remembering training, being younger, seeing an elder of some form, robed figure. You're unsure. There's no words to be spoken here. Everyone seems to be communicating with nods of their heads and with their eyes alone. The older man presses his palm to the tree, and the birds turn into apples. The grass turns pink around him. He again becomes young, turns into a small fawn, looks up, eats the pink grass, and everything wavers and returns, blurring back. And the elder gestures, and you see a young Chiss. She's a girl of maybe 10. Place her palm upon the tree, and she forms one of the apples, and it becomes a bird and flies away. And you sense that everything is everywhere. And we fade back into the darkness, ending the turn of the card. Where am I? Where
You
is
are
it?
still. Choose your path. You remember from early. You've embraced.
Okay, world. Is this a danger scene?
Oh, very well could go into it, depending on if you pick the robot or if you pick the tree.
Oh, so this is a danger. This isn't a danger scene. This is an interaction scene.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Interaction.
Okay, so
Hell yes.
the Wanderer chooses the robot. In a rare glimpse of selflessness over gaining more power.
Okay, so rephrase that. She goes for the robot.
She goes to the
It's
robot.
not
So, I'm sorry. Tell me more about the choice that is presented. There is a robot and there is a tree.
Oh, there's just the robot and the tree. Each were lit up just by bright light, not any blue, red, or anything to tip the hat, just by white. And it was if she chose to walk down the pathway to the robot or chose pathway to the tree.
I see.
Who's playing
I
Tika?
guess she
Sorry.
would. I think by the assertions made so far, using the lore, she would in that case choose the tree.
Okay.
She
So
begins wandering towards the tree.
in that case, as she walks toward the tree, she would find that she reemerges and reappears inside the prismatic cave. And that's where my scene ends.
Oh, that is vicious. That is
Yeah, 2 locations left.
so. This is the second act where everything is more. It's more dangerous and more telling about things. So, in the end of this scene, what do we know of the Wanderer? As we jump to conclusions privately, what can we know about the Wanderer?
Well, I wanted one clarification. Was the young lady in the inner monologue that touched the tree, was that our wanderer? Was that an inner memory?
I would say yes. You can tell with a glimpse within that this is a flashback moment to her childhood.
Okay.
I would say that we know this was once a thriving temple within her lifespan, and that she underwent some form of training here. I think we can put that as lore. What else do we gain from the lore? She's chosen the tree over the robot, the droid.
Almost
What do we
embracing
know
her
about-
past.
Yes. What do we know about the location? What have we garnered from the location?
That this place has been inhabited in her lifetime.
That's it's gone to ruins in a relatively short period of time.
Mhm.
Maybe there's
I'm
external
confused.
forces.
Drake, when you ended this scene, you said that she walked towards the cave and suddenly she was like, she realized she was in the cave of reflection instead.
No, she was at the prismatic cave.
Yeah, so she was at the prismatic cave. Like, was she in it, or did she like stumble upon the entrance to it?
Oh, she stumbled upon the entrance. As she walked out of the room of reflection, she ended up in the prismatic cave.
Oh, so
We were in reflection.
So it seems that this temple was entirely not real. If she was in the room of reflection the whole time,
Potentially,
if you just
or
drop
the
that.
room of reflection is part of the temple.
So at some point, there was an illusion come over her because she believed she was outside the whole time, and then but it turned out, she's in the room.
I think that's so many conclusions.
Something that an outsider could see. An outsider would see that. Oh wait, no, she's not outside. She's in this room. She can't be outside and also in the room of reflection. That's not a thing that can be.
We're going to have to explain it in future scenes, or we'll leave it hanging out at the end of the game. It's a conclusion that currently we are definitely putting a pin in, and we have to figure out, was she in this projection the whole time? We don't know. I will say, though, that as the Wanderer, I am going to initiate the revelation in the next scene.
Scary. I'm terrified. Don't hurt me.
All right.
Please.
So we are now in Act 3.
Why do the bad things always happen to me? First Lazy Bones picks on me, and now you.
I don't
So
pick
we are-
on you.
The
It's everyone
final
else.
Game.
Yeah.
The Wanderer is about to confront the adversary. And at most, one of them will walk away. But before we do that, someone needs to be the one to decide what the adversary is and volunteer to take on the role of the world for this last clash. We've all been writing ideas down here, except Gary.
You're not the world on this one, you're saying? Or we decide as a group?
No, I'm not necessarily going to be the world. I am the facilitator. I will default to the world if nobody else has a strong conclusion. So
it's so that I'm the Wanderer because is that it?
Yeah,
So I'm
I'm
definitely
going
the
to
Wanderer.
explain it all right now. So
Okay.
we need someone to volunteer to take on the role of the world. We've all been writing down ideas so far, leaping to conclusions, so this shouldn't be too difficult. The idea is to create an adversary which will fit naturally with the lore that everyone else has contributed to this point and feels like a good fit for the area that they dominate, i.e. this small moon of Zoom. Now, if someone has an idea which covers most of the lore, we'll go with that, and that person can be the world. Otherwise, I'll step in and come up with something. And without sharing any details, who feels they have a strong picture of who our villain is in this, or maybe they're a good guy? Okay, I see a hand for Lazy Bones. Any other others?
Well, I'm the Wanderer.
I have a pretty good idea.
I think Lazy Bones is going to be the world in this scene. And so, let's see. The next two scenes are the revelation, where I tell you, or where Lazy Bones is going to tell you what the adversary is and the clash, where the Wanderer and the adversary stage their final encounter. During this revelation, Lazy Bones will be doing most of the description, but the chorus can weigh in as normal. The clash operates just like a normal danger scene that we've seen so far, except there will be two prices to pay. So you will present a scenario and then there will be a price to be paid. The chorus will come up with a second price option. One of them will be paid, and then the adversary will transform to their final form, or in some manner, metaphorical, physical, whatever. And then there will be a second scenario that could be equally deadly or more deadly, and there is no guarantee that the Wanderer is going to survive this penultimate encounter. Ultimate encounter. Okay, so the Wanderer is going to be, in this case, let's roll for who wants. Does anybody in particular want to be the Wanderer? This when they feel truly inspired with who the Wanderer is and want to act as that character in this scene.
Sure, why not?
All right.
Okay.
The name tag's already under my name, so why not?
All right. So, Lazy Bones.
So, as you walk into the prismatic cave, Wanderer, the glint of 1,000 multicolored crystals, the glint of 1,000 multicolored crystals reflect off of each other, off of the sheen of sweat that has covered the Wanderer's body, and you walk down, your footsteps echoing around the cave, and the entire time you just hear a low hum, just a hum that seems to be slowly growing in pitch, but never reaching its zenith. And Wanderer, as you round the corner there, you see a large black box. It is approximately 10 feet tall by 6 feet deep, and it is black. It doesn't reflect any light. In fact, it appears to absorb light. But then a red light, almost like an eye, opens on it. And it opens. And out from the box, you see a robed figure, about 6.5 feet tall, step out of it. And in one robotic hand, there is a cube. And that cube has blue inscriptions all over it. And in the other hand, in another robotic hand, a lightsaber turns on. And a voice comes from the robed figure that says, You abandoned this place and brought it to ruin. And now you have come back. Your arrogance knows no bounds. And now you must fight to take it from me.
Enough monologuing.
I love it.
Okay.
So this is a danger scene, I suppose.
This is the revelation. The final clash does not start in this scene. If it does start in this scene, then we jump immediately into the next scene, which will be the clash.
I see.
Where you will be the same actors. You will both still be playing the world and the Wanderer.
So the revelation is where we put everything together for all of our conclusions?
Yes. Your conclusions, because you are the storyteller in this portion. You're the one drawing the lines between everything.
Okay. So here's the storyline. The starfighter that was firing at the Wanderer is actually part of the automated defenses in this temple that are still being powered by this, the presence of this Jedi Master who has been in stasis here, who the Wanderer would recognize as their old master, who after the Wanderer left and informed people about this temple, they came, blew it up, attacked it, as described as it being in ruins, killed the many dozens of inhabitants here, and the Wanderer coming back and communing with this tree as they used to in days of old triggered the whole facility to power back on and awoke the old master from their stasis. And now the master, to protect the teachings and the knowledge, the generational knowledge of this facility, has goaded the Wanderer into this final confrontation. Defeat them, and they get the knowledge, but it's going to be a hell of a time defeating them.
Okay. Does that wrap I think that probably wraps it, and then we move into the clash.
So here's the cost upon firing the missile, world, or Wanderer. This Jedi Master catches it with the Force.
You love doing that, don't you?
Catching a missile with the Force.
Jeez, it's like a missile shot that's been caught by the Force.
And it detonates. So here's the cost from the Wanderer being grievously wounded by this rocket, and the holocron which the Wanderer came to collect is destroyed, but they survive. And so I suppose the world gets to suggest a different cost.
So the cost you're suggesting will be severe personal injury and the loss of the holocron.
But survival from shooting the missile at this.
Where they're targeting it, is it going to be the Jedi himself and blowing him up and ruining the Datacron, or not targeting the Jedi himself but the cave behind him, and the holocron will survive, but more than likely so will the Jedi, is what you're saying.
So is that the alternate cost?
No. So the alternate... Well, you're saying that it's going to cost... So remember that in the clash, there are two levels of this. So the Jedi Master is going to survive the first strike like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's here to retrieve the holocron. So if we shoot the Jedi Master directly, it will destroy the holocron, and there's no purpose to retrieving it, but we'll have destroyed your old master. Alternately, I would say from the world, this is my input from the chorus, if you were to shoot the cave behind, then you could potentially wound the Jedi Master and not damage the Datacron. However, the crystals themselves have inherent value, as there are many, we'll call them Force crystals. There are many values in these crystals themselves.
Kyber crystals.
Yes, those would be the ones.
I mean, look, I took a bullet to the arm and to the stomach from a fighter ship, and been on this stinking rock for long enough that I'm here to do what I need to do. And that's... Look at the notes of what we know about her. and decide if she's here for the hardcore, if she's here to kill this
2
bastard.
minutes, guys.
She is here to kill him.
Here to kill him. All right.
The hardcore does not matter as much as making this person die. So, right for him. Wound as much as possible.
All right. Lazy Bones?
Pay the cost.
So the rocket impacts the rocket impacts. It is deflected by the force of this Jedi Master, but it impacts the wall right next to him. There is a great explosion, a great shockwave, and the Wanderer is knocked unconscious by the shockwave. But as the Wanderer comes back into consciousness, a heavy wound on the forehead, their arm crushed beneath a rock, the left hand from about the mid left forearm down is crushed and completely rendered useless by rubble. When they come to consciousness and look and they see a robotic hand sticking out of the rubble, broken, bent, but still clutched in 2 of the remaining fingers is the lightsaber.
Can I see much? Does the Wanderer see much of them?
There is no other sign of the there's no other sign of the Jedi Master.
Is the hand moving in any way?
No, it is completely still.
So what is the transformation for our... There's a second portion of the combat here that is the transformation to a stronger entity. Is there a... What's the level 2 boss here?
The level 2 boss is that as the Wanderer approaches the hand sticking out of the lightsaber, a ghostly apparition appears in front of the Wanderer, wielding not a lightsaber, but the ghost itself, long robes, hood back, revealing a young human man with a beard, and instead of a lightsaber has a staff in his hand. And even though he's a ghost, he strikes out and strikes the Wanderer in the side of the head and puts out his hand, and a gout of flame comes out.
Okay. What does the Wanderer do to overcome this?
Because in the Star Wars lore, we call a staff what Darth Maul has. So is it a lightsaber staff or is it like a wooden staff?
And it is like a bow staff.
Okay.
Like a sparring staff.
Well, recently I've been in touch with the Force around here, be it light or dark, we do not know yet. But this is a Force ghost, and I have nothing physical that can do damage to it. So let's destroy it with a Force. We are a Force-sensitive creature. Hand out. Let's try and... Fuck it. It seems like this is going down a dark path. Force choke.
Okay.
Only you don't destroy a Force ghost with more force.
Sure.
What is the cost from the world to destroy this ghost with the Force?
The cost is being struck by the gout of flame that comes out of this Force ghost's hand. But the Force ghost is destroyed, the complete connection to the Force severed.
And the chorus's other option?
And what is?
I got nothing. I think that's perfect.
Hmm.
You got anything
All
else?
four to be in
I
this
have no
sector.
good ideas.
Well, then the Wanderer's going to take that shot.
The
Gonna
gout of
survive
flame.
going to take the flame to blast this thing back into wherever it came from.
The gout of flame gives the Wanderer a matching burn scar, but on the other side of her face, rendering her post lava Anakin-esque
Mm-hmm.
on her face. But she survives it, and now has conquered her old master.
And with that, that puts us into the epilogue scene, which is we will switch roles one last time to define who the Wanderer is. Who wants to be the Wanderer for this last choice? There's one choice remaining to be made, and that's where the game ends for the day. Ripper? Okay.
I've just been I'm gonna pass.
Does the Wanderer take over the ruins and replace their predecessor, or do they abandon the area?
I always hated this place anyway. Get the fuck out of here.
It's up to you, Gary.
It is. I guess the end of today, because there's nothing but a bad juju here.
Okay. And the Wanderer turns, puts their empty rocket launcher back into the holster on her back, makes her way back to her hidden starship in the jungles out in the middle of nowhere, takes off and sets sail into the stars, concluding our adventure. Thank you guys very much for playing with Bleak Spirit.
Bleak Spirit. All right.
Yeah, great storytelling tool, and not as much dice rolling or rules mechanics or anything to get into. It's really just about choices, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you so much to the developers, and check their Kickstarter out if you thought this was fun. They're already funded, so you're guaranteed to get an awesome product out of it. This is 0.4 of their beta version, so as you can imagine, this is going to get even better and better with more input and playtest, and I think that they deserve that to get it to the end, and I look forward to picking this game up myself. So, with that, big shout out to Encounter Roleplay as well. Thanks for hosting us, and also Lazy Bones, thank you for letting us run this amazing one-shot here on your normal slot, and we will return this back to the Fortitude Star Wars server next week. Lazy Bones, please jump in.
Well, thank you, Corey, for facilitating this. This was actually really fun. If we decide to have a season 2 of Fortitude, I think I have a pretty good idea of an important character who will be popping up in there. So we shall see how this pans out. And thank you all for tuning in. And coming up in 5 or so minutes is going to be Apocalypse Win, run by lots of very good friends of mine. So please stick around. It's a really fun time.
All right, everyone.
So,
thank you guys very much, and we'll see you on Encounter Roleplay.
Yeah, see you around the galaxy, folks.